Hello and welcome back to the GTPlanet karting series. We're here for another round at Madrid, round 5 of the KF Class Championship. I'm joined by Andrew Mather once again. My name's Tom Brooks. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Tom. Great to be back once again. Looking forward to this one. Much trickier circuit for Madrid. I think it's the first street circuit that we've been to this season, so it's going to be interesting to see who can apply those different skills that you need on a street circuit to a normal wide open racetrack, the likes of Red Bull Ring and Suzuka that we've been to in the last few rounds. So it's going to really add a bit of spice to the racing today.
Yeah, it's going to be very good fun, I am sure. Slightly different format, though, to what we're used to. We should probably explain this. There's going to be 3 heats that we'll show you today. And these races, instead of them being laps, they'll be timed races. A bit of a difference in the schedule. 10-minute races, of course, for the heats. And then a 15-minute final, essentially, is how things are going to run. And essentially, what will happen is the top 3 drivers from the heats will progress through to the final. And then, essentially, there'll be a last-minute qualifying for those from 4th down to 7th. And essentially, if you finish within the top 3 for the last-minute qualifying, you get through to the final as well. So the top 3 for the last dash qualifying, which doesn't contain any points, essentially means you will get through to the final. It's a little bit confusing, but you'll get your head around it, of course, and we'll go through it and guide you through it as we can. So lots and lots of very important racing to come here at the street circuit at the Circuito de Madrid in Spain, of course, and we'll have the KF heat along the way fairly shortly. So the first order of the day is Heat B for the KF class, Andrew, and 8 karts taking to the grid with lots and lots of familiar names from the KZ class. It's going to be very interesting.
Very, very competitive field. You see names like J-Jack, Mr. Racing Line, T. Kennedy 85 and Chris W265. This is a quality field, and I think it's going to be an absolutely fantastic race.
So J-Jack on pole position then, on the left-hand side of the screen, as we can see at the moment. The revs are rising, will be underway for the 10-minute race here at the Circuito de Madrid. And the races go now. A good start then from everyone off the front row of the field. Bit of bogging down further back, but J-Jack then will lead the way. Mr. Racing Line, the Danish driver, still in second place off the start. Makosi Academic is as you were from the launch on the grid. Over the crest of the hill they come, and heading down in towards turn 1. This is where the track tightens, and it gets very difficult. Overtake there for 6th place. T. Kennedy 85 getting ahead of the Portuguese driver of Haas Gaming 96, as well as Chris W265 now changing positions with Drizzle. But a very clean start we had there, Andrew, and everybody getting away very well.
Very good to see. No contact between anyone, and everyone's still in this race. Very, very close. And of course, as we go down the hill now into, for me, the trickiest braking zone on the circuit. You come through this kink downhill, and then you've got to pick your mark and get things nice and smooth through this very technical part of the track, as Mr. Racing Line and Makosi Academica going bumper to bumper with side pods there. Both of them live to fight another day. Great little battle here as Chris W265 is looking up the inside of Mr. Racing Line. So brilliant racing here round the streets of Madrid on lap 1.
Yeah, absolutely stunning. Chris W265 pulls out of the slipstream against the Danish Mr. Racing Line. Great camera shot we've got through the apex of the right-hander in towards the very, very difficult hairpin. Actually very reminiscent of the Birmingham Super Prix Halford's hairpin, if you ask me. In towards the left-hander they go now, and it's Chris W265, the American, who gets the position then ahead of Mr. Racing Line. So Mr. Racing Line now back to look to get ahead of Chris W265, but it is J-Jack then, number 33, J-Jack 33 rather, the Frenchman who leads the way on lap 1. Makosi Academic as they come through the final chicane in 2nd, Chris W265 in 3rd, and then we've got Haas Gaming 96 in 5th, TKD 85 in 6th, Pub 16 in 7th, with a very close bit of company between TKD 85 and Haas Gaming 96. Position change also between, I believe that was Chris W265 and Makosi Academic now up in 2nd place as well. So very, very promising start from everybody. Haas Gaming 96, though, has got Pub 16 just behind. Up the inside, in towards the left-hander they go through turns 1 and 2. A great bit of overtaking there from the American driver. Fantastic bit of opportunism. But nonetheless, very, very clean as well through the left and the right. This is where it gets difficult, as you said, Andrew. The track tightens up, and it makes things so difficult, especially when you've got the likes of 2, maybe even 3 karts going through there.
Yeah, it's this little chicane here. Oh, the two of them get very, very close together. No contact this time. Hask Gaming 96 takes the position really well, really asserts his position out on track. Here we go. As we cycle through the cameras, I think we're going on board with Chris W265. Nope, we're going on board with Mr. Racing Line. Makosi Academic up ahead of him in second place. And look at J-Jack though. Look at the lead that he's pulled out already on lap 2. And how many minutes are we down? We're 3 minutes down already.
Yeah, it's
back to the battle in the midfield.
Mightily impressive from everybody in the field to not have had contact at this stage in the race. It's very, very impressive indeed. TKD 85 has now got pub 16 for company, so American versus Australian for 6th position at the moment. So that could be some valuable points for either driver at this stage in the race. Of course, we've got just under 6.5 minutes remaining of the action here at Madrid. Looking at Chris W265, listen to the buzz of the carts as they come over the brow of the hill. And we've got Chris W265 looking to get ahead of Mr. Racing Line now. So potentially a lockout for the podium once again for Chris W265. Has to fight another day. Has to think about it once again. And takes a tighter line than Mr. Racing Line. He's got great traction actually out of the second corner. The left-hander there. And a great bit of overtaking potentially from Chris W265. Can he make it stick? Side-by-side action as the track narrows through the kink. They go and down the hill. This is where it gets important. This is where it's good to have a slipstream as well. Meanwhile, further down, we've got T Kennedy 85 still battling with pub 16. Another American versus Australian battle. And that is pub 16 now in the barrier as well. So that's a massive drama for the Australian. And now down to the back of the field, Andrew.
Yeah, real shame. I think he just ran out wide on that curb on the left-hand side as it tightens up and lost the back end. Very, very lucky not to take T Kennedy 85 in that accident. But that'll be frustrating for pub 16 because he was having a good race up to that point. Yeah,
Mr. Racing Line's actually got a little bit more of a gap, I must say, on Chris W265. It was very, very close the last time we caught up with a shot of them. But now it's looked to gap a little bit, a good 2 or 3 kart lengths between them. But as we know, one minor mistake can really put paid to the rest of the race. And of course, they're not actually too far behind Makosi Academic. So it really could be all to play for, potentially, for second position in this race. But still, J-Jack leading very, very comfortably. If you look at the mini-map on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see that, of course, J-Jack has got at least a second's lead, which is very, very impressive. And a great result it would be as well for the Frenchman, of course, who lost out on the KZ final. Of course, lost out the KZ championship. So, nonetheless, things looking to go his way. Ticking to the 85 in the pit lane now as pub 16 also pits. So, one American, one Australian in the pit lane. Not entirely sure why TK the 85 is in. Must have had an off-screen incident. Maybe it was involved with pub 16. But still, that is going to be disappointing for them nonetheless at this stage in the race. Mr. Racing Line there in third position at the moment. Still a bit of a gap to Makosi Academic. And it's actually got a bit more of a gap now, Andrew, between himself and Chris W265. So Mr. Racing Line really has pulled his finger out. As we keep mentioning, Mr. Racing Line is Mr. Consistency. And he's really, really displaying that. He's putting in some good lap times.
Yeah, he's really getting into a nice rhythm here. At the moment, though, he's not quite able to get a little bit more pace to get up to Mr. Makosi Academic. But then again, doesn't really need to at this point. Though this is a heat after all, and although the extra points would be nice, it's all about getting into that final. So keeping things consistent and making sure you get to that final is the order of the day in this race. Here's Hask Gaming 96, who's a bit alone at the moment. He's been gapped by Chris W265, and of course the two guys he was battling with have collided with each other and taken each other out of this heat. But he's doing a good job. He's in 5th place, and at the moment he's probably quite happy to be there.
Yeah, Mr. Racing Line and Chris W265 exchange places and pleasantries once again. So Chris W265, the American, gets himself momentarily ahead of Mr. Racing Line, chops the nose off of the Danish driver. Heading in towards the first turn they go. The very, very tight left-handed hairpin. It's a good thing they're in go-karts, really. If they were in something like a big V8 Corvette, I think they'd probably struggle to get around there. I speak from my own experience in racing on Gran Turismo 6. Fantastic camera shot we've got following the two karts through there. Out of the slipstream now, Paul's Mr. Racing Line looks to get himself ahead of Chris W265 around the outside, potentially into the right-left chicane. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if he can do it, and he can. A great overtake there on Mr. Racing Line does Chris W265, but fighting back once again through the right, and then in the left they go. Side-by-side action, Chris W265 not taking things lying down into the right-hander, nearly had the line, but Mr. Racing Line shut the door on him. Very, very close between the two. Into the final part of the lap they go through the right-hander and in towards the hairpin. If Mr. Racing Line can hold on, this will be magnanimous. A magnanimous result for the Danish driver. Has to take the defensive line there, Andrew. You can see how much pressure he's under.
Yeah, but Mr. Racing Line's kart through the corners does look quite good to me. It looks like Chris W265 has that little bit more straight line speed, but Mr. Racing Line, with the combination of that good handling and that great defensive work, is able to hold Chris W265 off. I do wonder, are they actually closing in on Makosi Academic here? As Chris 2W65, oh, there's almost a bit of contact there, wheel to wheel. I definitely think these two are closing on Makosi Academic, and of course this is a critical battle because this is now a battle to get into the final.
Side-by-side racing then in towards turns 1 and 2. They go off the hairpin. Look how much speed they're carrying through there. And you are right, Andrew. They are catching right up to the back of Makosi Academic. So if Makosi Academic is not careful, he could be out of contention for the final. We'll have to go in towards that last dash qualifying session that will take place after this race. And then we will see who will make it through to the final. So we've got 54 seconds remaining. So I believe they will just about get another lap in, depending on when Jacques crosses the line. So they'll get one more lap in. So we'll have 7 laps here at Madrid. In towards the left-hander they go. It's going to get very, very close. So 3 drivers battling for second position through the right-hander they go, heading in towards the hairpin. They will be in just a couple of moments' time. So Makosi Academic leads. Chris W265 leads Mr. Racing Line. Going round now. Unbelievable. Makosi Academic now down to 4th position. That is unbelievable. In the final stages of this race, I said it could happen, and it did. Down to 4th position, and he will now have to take part in that last dash qualifying session. Will the Australian and Mr. Racing Line and Chris W265 will think all of their Christmases have come at once, Andrew.
Makosi Academic will be absolutely sick in his helmet right now. He had that under control, but a scruffy lap on the lap before let these two close up, apply the pressure. I don't know if there was any contacts. I hope there wasn't any contacts. But whatever has happened there, Makosi Academic now down to 4th. As you say, Tom, he'll have to fight his way through the last chance qualifying if he wants to make the final. And Chris W265 and Mr. Racing Line will probably take things pretty easy now. They know now that they're going to have a place in that final.
Yeah, that's really going to put the weight off of their shoulders, but going to put the pressure on Makosi Academic. So JJ33 cruising round on a very, very comfortable last lap, set of 138.2. Second lap, still battling for second position, though. They're not taking it easy. Chris W265 and Mr. Racing Line. Mr. Racing Line looking to get honours. Personally, if I were them, I'd take it a little bit easy. Keep it calm, collected, and don't risk yourself, because that's what can happen. Look at that. Exactly what can happen. Chris W265, oh, spinning around. Will Makosi Academic catch up? I don't think he will. Chris W265 had a bit of a gap compared to the Australian. And there we are. So Jacques has had an incident now as well. The leader of this race, Jacques, the Frenchman, is going to get overtaken by Mr. Racing Line on the final lap. That is incredible, Andrew. Absolutely incredible.
That is absolutely unbelievable. Jacques has had this race in both hands throughout the whole thing. We haven't actually seen much of him because he's been so far ahead, but obviously something's happened. He's maybe lost concentration on the last lap. He's lost the lead to Mr. Racing Line, and now look at this. Makosi Academic's now back up into 3rd. He won't need the last gasp qualifying if he can hold Chris W265. What an unbelievable last lap here in Heat B at Madrid.
That was fantastic. Into the barrier goes Makosi Academic. That's going to mean he has to go for the last dash qualifying session. Meanwhile, Mr. Racing Line takes the victory. The Danish driver. It was an unexpected shout, but a magnanimously brilliant result nonetheless. JJ33 will hold on to take 2nd. Chris W265 will finish in 3rd. So those 3 will progress automatically through to the final. Makosi Academic, Haas Gaming 96, Drizob, and T. Kennedy 85 will all have to launch themselves into the last dash qualifying with an opportunity of finishing in the top 3 to be able to progress through to the final. Meanwhile, Pup 16, I'm afraid to say, the Australian, hasn't really featured in this race following contact earlier on, and he is now out of the contention for the KF class. So that's the Australians' race over, but nonetheless, that was spectacular. What a final few laps. I really thought that Jack had it in the bag, but it just goes to show that a minor incident pushing too hard on the final lap can really put pay to your race.
Absolutely, I can't quite believe what I've just seen there. Jack 33, I mean, thankfully it's not ruled him out of the final, but that's pretty much the first major mistake he's made all season. He's been such a star performer in the series. Thankfully, he's been able to take second place, and all credit to Mr. Racing Line. He was the man who kept his nose clean, kept things going, and took the heat win in the end, quite deservedly.
Absolutely fantastic from Mr. Racing Line. So it's coming around now, of course, on his slowdown lap, and he'll be very, very pleased inside that helmet. So Mr. Racing Line takes first honours, takes first blood here at the KF class at Madrid for Heat B. Let's move on then to Heat C.
Here we go then for the starting grid for Heat C. TWR Seb 72 on pole from GTR Venturi. Little Regret 265 on the second row alongside GTP Famine. Fifth place is Barrett 5, then sixth is Smith 1001, and on the last row, Yo 2099, and I didn't quite catch the last one, I think it's Skells 22.
Quite correct you are there, Andrew. So we're waiting for the racing to get underway. Top 3, of course, will progress through to the final. And then, of course, the bottom driver will be eliminated from this race, and we're underway now. So TWR Seb off a pole position gets away very well from the home race for GTR Venturi. Little Regret 265 in third position, and GTP Famine rather in fourth as well. Change of lead now. GTR Venturi gets himself up into the lead of this race, heading down then in towards turn 1. They will come in just a few moments time. So the homeboy leads his home race. A great start there from GTR Venturi. Everybody once again, as was the quo with Heat B, again away cleanly for Heat C there, Andrew.
Yeah, really good to see. Everybody still in a chance of getting something from this race. Here's a good little scrap straight away between Skells 22 and Barrett 5. Yo 2099 also up ahead of them. Good start for him, up to 5th place.
Yep, everybody getting away very cleanly. Skells 22, the Briton there. One of only 2 Britons in the field. Oh, into the barrier goes GTR Venturi on lap 1. That is really going to hinder his progress for the rest of this race. I couldn't quite catch exactly what happened there, but it looked like he went head first straight into the Armco. So that is going to be absolutely unbelievable. So was it a case of he just touched the curbs, of course, because they're very, very high curbs here at Madrid, and it's easy to lose the front, get sucked in, and you can end up straight to the scene of the accident, which is exactly what happened to GTR Venturi, who's gone from 1st to 6th position in the space of around about 3 or 4 corners. Meanwhile, Barrett 5 there. Haven't really mentioned him off the start of the field. Still in 5th position, which is a good result there. So he qualified, of course, on pole. Down in 5th. A bit disappointed. Nonetheless, still getting away very well. TWR Seb leads the way, the Frenchman. Little Regret 265 in 2nd. GTP Famine in 3rd. Yo 2099 rather in 4th. GTR Venturi now back up to 5th. And he's really got the pace to be battling with these front runners. Meanwhile, GTP Famine looking to battle with Little Regret 265 and get himself up into 2nd place. Nice clean overtake, gives himself lots of racing room. And it looks to be done and dusted for the Briton, and indeed it is. Coming in towards turn 1, we've seen how much pace that GTP Famine has had, Andrew, and really demonstrating that now as well.
Oh, a little bit tardy off that last corner there. I was about to say he's got really good straight line speed, which might save him down here alongside Little Regret 265 now. Little Regret 265 cuts across the front of him and takes back 2nd place. I see Smith 1001 is in the pits. Here comes GTP Famine. Look at the straight line speed that kart has. And is it going to be... Oh, no!
Clips the curb. That's... How did he hold on to that? I really thought he'd be going straight into the barrier. Oh, goodness me. So Little Regret 265 has an incident, but he's right all over the back bumper of GTP Famine. Once again, that is spectacular recovery driving, Andrew.
I think, once again, we've got one of these classic straight line speed versus better handling situations. I remember we had it with GTP Famine actually the other way around at Suzuka. I can't quite remember who he was racing against, but it was for the lead in a final race. That day, GTP Famine had the better handling karts, but couldn't get by on the straights. And at the moment, GTP Famine, I think, has learned from that. I said, once again, little regret. 265 has a massive moment getting on the curbs. GTP Famine at the moment doing a really good job and holding that second place and looking like he could possibly pull away that news. Oh my goodness.
2099 getting airborne out of the final chicane.
That's a horrible, horrible moment. I know from real life karting, when you hit a curb like that, whether through your own fault or not, you just know that is going to hurt your back when you land then back on the track once again. Thankfully, he's been able to keep it in a straight line and he's got away with it, but he'll definitely not be doing that again.
No, I remember I had a similar incident, actually. I was at Butmore Park last year for a 4-hour endurance race, and I was overtaking someone. I was quite clearly up the inside, I may say, and they cut across my line going in towards the left-right before the main
start-finish line? Yep,
exactly.
That's yep. I've had that on that point. Yep.
Not very nice, is it? And I ended up getting pretty airborne. I was pretty livid with the chap in question, I may say, and I made some rather unique gesticulations that I can't repeat. Meanwhile, Little Regret 265 still battling Hammer and Tom with GTP Famine. In towards the final sector they come. I actually wonder, because we've had Smith 1001 leave the room, does that then mean that Scales 22 will be eliminated, or does that mean that 4th to 7th will progress as normal? Interesting. So 4th to 7th will... So they will progress as normal through to the last dash qualifying session, I do indeed believe, having a quick read-up of the rules. Still TWR Seb, who leads the way. Little Regret 265 in second, just ahead of GTP Famine, who incidentally is now just ahead of GTR Venturi.
Really good work from GTR Venturi to get himself back into this battle with the second and third place guys. Had a bit of a tardy start, had that mistake early on when he went into the barrier. Here we go then, down the straight now. GTP Famine now down into 4th place, but can he use that straight line speed once again? There's no way through for him at the moment. There's so many karts in his way, he simply can't work his way through, although now he's looking around the outside of GTR Venturi into the first few corners. Can't do it that time. And now GTR Venturi is going to have a go at Little Regret 265 and try and take this second place off of him.
Yeah, so the Spanish driver really looking to claim home honours on home soil. Down the hill they come, heading in towards the right-hander. Look at that series of 3 karts, but they are all going so quickly. Around about 80 miles an hour through there if you can get the straight line speed up, which is spectacularly quick, I must say. GTR Venturi then, so just behind the Regret 265. I think that TWR Seb is going to be out of touching distance with just under 4 minutes remaining. But nonetheless, a great result and a fantastic podium it would be for GTR Venturi. But as we saw, of course, in Heat B, it's not over until it's over. We saw someone, Zajak, of course, who was leading the race so competently and so confidently as well, looked to have things sewn up, and it all went to pot for him in the last lap. So it could be anybody's guess coming on towards the final few tours here at Madrid. GTR Venturi then still chasing down Little Regret 265. Further down the order, Yo 2099. Scales 22 and Barrett number 5 have not changed positions at the moment. GTR Venturi weaving all over the place. Actually, sorry, Little Regret 265 weaving all over the place, looking to have a bit of a moment. But GTR Venturi then up into second place, Andrew.
I think Little Regret 265 has got a problem, because all of a sudden he's dropped off the back of GTR Venturi. He's back up to speed now. But this brings GTP Famine back into contention for getting a 3rd place that will get him into the final. So I'm not quite sure what was going on there with Little Regret 265, because yes, he's definitely back up to speed again now. Just wonder if he caught the wall going through the chicane and it just shook him about a little bit. But it's all playing into the hands of GTR Venturi, who's now back into a clear 2nd place and will probably be where we'll finish. But as you say, TWR Seb 72 is leading this race at the moment, but he's not won it yet. He's not got to that finish line, and we saw with J-Jack earlier that even on the final lap it can all change.
I was absolutely in awe at TWR Seb as he was riding those curves. Absolutely fantastic. Really, really great to see just how much he is pushing, using all of the road, smooth drive yourself, very clean, very efficient, not too many turns of the steering wheel, because of course the more turns of the steering wheel you have to make, the more speed you end up scrubbing off with your cart. And TWSF having an effortlessly clean style behind the wheel of these 125cc racers. Meanwhile, Yo2099 now in the pits, so the American in the box. Not entirely sure what that's all about. Maybe some problems for him. Maybe he had a contact with the barrier that we didn't quite catch on screen. Still Little Regret 265 in a comfortable podium. He's got GTP Famine behind him, but Famine is a fair old way at the moment by the looks of things.
Little touch with the wall there from Little Regret 265. This might give I don't know, I think GTP Famine's a little bit too far behind. Once again, I think the sacrifice of that straight line speed against the vehicle handling and be able to whip your way through these corners, and it gets very, very technical at times, this Madrid street circuit, and it's just costing GTP Famine a little bit in this heat.
Yeah, I must say I've actually had the pleasure of being able to visit the city of Madrid, and I've actually walked down the streets where this circuit is based, and it really is something to behold. It's fantastic. I always thought this would make a blooming good racetrack, and then lo and behold, it was on Gran Turismo. So it was a fantastically good timing. I must say this is the most difficult part for me. When I used to do some kart races actually on GTPlanet, and that was the most difficult part, was coming down that straight and heading in towards that right-left chicane so quick. And these cars, of course, have got an incredibly short wheelbase. It's so easy to lose the rear, lock the front, head straight into the barrier. Meanwhile, change of position for second. Little Regret 265, GTR Venturi looks to have had a bit of an incident because he has lost his second place and has lost his podium as well. So if it stays as it is, GTR Venturi will be qualifying in the last dash session.
I think he did similar to what we saw J-Jack do in Heat B. He's lost it coming through the right-hander onto that little straight there, about halfway around the lap, and he's collected the barrier and lost that position now. But you never know, he's still, well, saying that, he's probably got one more lap to get himself back into third position, and on that shot at least, I can't see him anywhere near GTP Famine. No, he's definitely not in touch with GTP Famine, so what a shame for Venturi. So close to a really good result, but it's all gone wrong for him. But you never know, he's still got that last gasp qualifying to do the business. This is the final lap.
Of course, TWR Seb absolutely dominated this race, as we saw last time with J-Jack. So the Frenchman having a good run. J-Jack, of course, it all went to pot for him, and looking very sideways, actually, is TWR Seb through that left-hander. So it's not all over yet. Keep it calm, Seb. You've got a few more corners to go, but you've got such a comfortable lead. He's really on the ragged edge, it must be said. Into the final sector he comes now as well. But as I said, such an effortlessly smooth style he's got behind the wheel of that 125cc kart. It really is a pleasure to be able to watch him drive so competently. A great podium it looks to be for GTP Famine, so he won't have to qualify. GTP Famine will automatically progress through to the final. As we mentioned, the top three progress through to the final. 4th to 7th will have to enter a last-minute qualifying session, and the top three from that session will progress through to the final. 4th to however long it is, of course, however many participants are in that session will not progress through. They'll be out. Their race weekend for the karting series will be over at GTPlanet. But it is TWR Seb then, coming around the final couple of corners. And he crosses the line then. TWR Seb takes the victory here at the Circuito de Madrid. A great result there for the Frenchman. Little Regret 265 takes a well-deserved podium for the American. And GTP Famine makes it 3 different nationalities in the top 3 places, with GTR Venturi, I'm sure, taking a very dejected 4th place there, Andrew. He'll be disappointed to have to start that qualifying session. But nonetheless, given his pace, I should imagine he'll probably end up within the top 3.
Absolutely. I think that's what you have to do when you have a disappointing race like that. You dust yourself down, you look at the positives, you know as Venturi that you've got the pace to do some really good stuff in that last gasp qualifying, and hopefully we'll see him in the final.
Yeah, it really would be very, very nice to see. Scales 22 there, the other Briton in this race, will round out in 6th place, so he will have to qualify as well. Its pace was somewhat off the likes of the front runners of TWR Seb and GTP Famine and Little Regret 265 and so on and so forth. So I think it'll be a bit of a tall order for Skells 22, likewise Yo 2099. But of course, Yo 0299 did have a bit of an unlucky race, so it will be interesting to see how he fares. in qualifying. We'll find out, of course, for the final that will be along the way after we've had Heat D. But still, everyone now rounding the final couple of corners.
Ooh, bit of a moment there for Scales 22. I think he locked the rear axle a little bit and had a bit of a moment there across the curb. Coming into the final sector now.
Driven an effortlessly faultless race is TWR Seb, who we're looking at, the Frenchman. Little Regret 265, much the same for him. And GTP Famine put up a good fight. A nice podium. He'll be very, very pleased with that as all the runners come round and to complete their final lap. So, very, very impressive from everybody in the field. It was a cracking race for Heat C, Andrew. Heat D along the way, of course, in just a couple of moments with more of the same, I am sure. And, of course, this last-minute qualifying session, this last dash, will prove to be very interesting. Who has got the pace over the space of a couple of laps? So an enthralling Heat C then leads us on to the starting grid for Heat D here at the GTPlanet karting series of the KF class. And as you can see, it's Nick McCosey then, the Australian who qualified on pole position. Krelu in second, GTP Jammy third, Crawl 69 fourth, TWR Dav 42 in fifth, Midnight Rider 32 in sixth, Pilster 1 in seventh, and Euclid 58 rounding out the grid. Andrew, it's going to be fascinating to see with such a highbrow of drivers in this race.
Very, very high calibre of field here. It's going to be a really, really fast, really competitive race. We're waiting for the lights to go green in a moment.
They go out now, and we're
and
underway.
There we go.
So Nick McCosey gets himself away very, very well indeed. Such as the grid slots, of course, they're so far apart on this circuit, it's very difficult to judge how well someone has made a start, of course, until we head down really towards turn one, such as the advantage they will gain. Side by side there, I believe that was between Midnight Rider and TWR Dav. Krelu and Nick McCosey exchanging places already. So Krelu up into the lead of this race. TWR Dav and Midnight Rider once again still exchanging places, heading in towards turn one for the first time out of 7. There you go, and still Krelu leads the way from Nick McCosey, from GTP Jammy, from Crawl 69, from TWR Dav. That's your top 5 here at the GTPlanet karting series. Everybody away once again very cleanly, and still Nick McCosey and Krelu on the opening lap there. We've got Andrew exchanging places. Meanwhile, so the same story with Midnight Rider and TWR Dav.
Very, very close between the whole field. Look at that shot there. Pretty much the whole field all in one shot. I don't think we've seen that so far today. And it's always a very, very sideways moment there. I think it was for Krelu. I think Krelu's going down the field a little bit. I'm not sure what's happened there. And
I think he might have caught the curbs, perhaps. Some people
yeah.
saw that in the last race. It's easy to do so. And a minor mistake to make, but a big impact he can have. And he's right down towards the back of the field. So potentially a problem.
Has he got a problem,
maybe
Tom, because he's going very slowly.
Maybe some damage on the kart from a clip with the barrier, or maybe with another competitor. We haven't seen that. Maybe we'll see another driver dart into the pit lane at the end of this lap. We'll have to wait and see, keep an eye on it. But meanwhile, that means that the top 3 is Nick McCosey, GTP Jammy, and Crawls 69, the Canadian driver. Who'd have thought that going into this race? That is cracking from the number 335. He is having such a good run at this stage in the race. But he's got company as well. He's got TWR Dav and Midnight Rider 32. French and American drivers behind him.
He needs to keep this calm at the moment. He's not really been up in this position much this season, but he's there on merit right now, and he needs to keep things calm, keep things consistent, and make sure that that number 35 kart is as wide as possible around this Madrid street circuit. And you never know, maybe he can get into the final here today. Here's Dav 42 there, who is looking very ominous up behind the Canadian.
He's looking very, very racy, is the Frenchman. Crawl 69 there, looking to get ahead of him now, so change potentially for the podium. Look at Krelu, though, darting his way up from 8th to 6th position in the space of a corner. That is cracking. Meanwhile, around the outside from TWR Dav. A brilliant overtake there for the Frenchman on the Canadian, in towards the left-right chicane. That was stunning. It's an overtake there.
That was awesome. That's probably my favourite overtake of the day so far, and a brilliant, brilliant piece of driving from both drivers to make sure that that move was pulled off. Look at Krelu, though, who's all of a sudden found his pace again and is up to 5th already. He's just taken Pilster 1, Euclid 58 in the background there in the luminous yellow machine. Here's the battle for 3rd, the battle for getting into that heat final. The class final, I should say.
Got a bit of fire in his belly now has Cruel 69 through the right and the left chicane they go. It's so easy to misjudge that chicane, of course. The left-hander, the second part of the chicane, is very tight. Look at this, side by side between Cruel 69 and TWR Dav. Both drivers not refusing to give an inch of racing here. Coming down the main straight they come then to start their third lap out of 7. Just over 6 minutes remain of the race here at the Circuito de Madrid. In towards turn 1 they go. And it's still going to be Cruel 69 just getting ahead. Or is it? Because TWR Dav looking around the outside. We've seen that. Is there going to be a bit of a signature overtaking move from the Frenchman? No way through there for him through the left-hander of turns 1 and 2. And still he has to live to fight another day. Oh, does he? Look at that, side by side. So TWR Dav and Cruel 69 now still battling. And it is TWR Dav who's momentarily ahead of Cruel 69, Andrew.
Yeah, I was going to wonder how will Cruel 69 tackle this straight, but Dav has absolutely cream crackered him down that straight and left him no option but to slip into 4th position. Bumping warning for 344. That is TWR Dav 42. So a warning there from race control. The stewards not liking what they're seeing there. Here's the battle for 7th place between Midnight Rider and Peelster 1. Peelster 1 sweeping around the outside of Midnight Riding there and taking 7th position, but getting very deep into that tricky part of the circuit, but he manages to hold on to the position for now at least.
Or does he? Because Midnight Rider 32 is now ahead of him. So through the right-hander they go, and it is Midnight Rider now just ahead of Peelster. So that was a bit of opportune overtaking, going a little bit wide, sending him off the racing line onto the dirty part of the track. Really compromised the traction and the grip that Peelster was able to get. So Midnight Rider 32 up into 7th, Peelster down to 8th place. Through that final hairpin they go. It was such a great shot that is as well. Lots of lovely architecture in this part of the city, or the Ciudad as it's known in Spain. Still Nick McCosey out in front. The Australian leads from GTP Jammy, from TWR Dav, from Cruel 69. Very impressed actually with Krelu. His recovery from 8th to 5th has taken all but a lap and a half, maybe even 2 laps. But that is very impressive from the Frenchman. He could be in line potentially for a good old podium if this pace continues. And he's got the bit between his teeth. He doesn't want to have to make that last-minute qualifying session. And I'm sure he'll be doing everything within his power to ensure that he does not have to take part in that.
Absolutely. We know how good he is at overtaking. And here he comes. You can see 4th and 3rd place in his sights now. That will spur him on, no doubt, to close on these two and apply the pressure in his, I've just noticed for the first time, very tricolor looking setup with the blue kart, the white seat and the red suit. Very apt there from the French driver. Here's Crawler 69, who similarly has a bit of a Canadian theme going on with his kart. Still trying to make an impression on TWR Dav 42, of course, has already had a warning from the steward, so he's going to have to be careful if there's any more scrapes. 3 minutes 32 left in this race. And I think this is going to be our key battle towards the end of the race. Who's going to take that last spot in to the automatic places for qualifying for the class final here around the streets of Madrid?
Wide? That's Cruel 69. Krelu takes advantage and gets himself ahead up into 4th place. So a simple mistake from Cruel 69. I mentioned that final chicane is very difficult to tackle, and the the left-hander rather, the second part of that chicane is so easy to get your line wrong and send yourself straight into the barrier. He didn't go into the barrier, did Cruel 69, but very wide though, and that's made him lose severe ground against his fellow French-speaking counterpart of Krelu.
I'm really not sure what happened there. It was a bit of a bizarre one from Caller 69. I just wondered, did he clip the barrier on the first part of the chicane, which kind of bounced him around a little bit? He did well to recover though, kept the wheels pointing in the right direction and still got a chance of taking 3rd place, but he's got it all to do now with Krelu ahead of him.
Yeah, it's very important coming in towards these closing stages of the race. We estimate just over 2 laps remain of action here at Madrid. Cruel 69 going very wide actually again through that left-hander. I wonder whether that's his line, because he's done that a couple of times over the past couple of laps. And I mean, some people opt to go for a wider line, but personally I would imagine that would lose you quite a fair amount of time, especially if you're carrying too much corner speed through there. Let's have a look in comparison. Here's Peelster going through the same corner, taking a tighter apex, but going very wide through the second part of it once again. Meanwhile, Midnight Rider 32 just ahead of him takes a much tighter line, gets the power down a lot earlier, and that allows him just to keep the power on early. And look how much more road that Midnight Rider 32 is using in comparison to Pilster. But in the same respect, I actually think that Pilster is closing up a little bit on his American counterpart. So could this be a battle in the final couple of laps, Andrew? That would be fascinating to see. Of course, this means that whoever finishes in 7th place will go through to the last dash qualifying session, potentially into the final. And that means that whoever finishes in 8th, of course, and indeed plumb last place, will be out of the KF running here.
It's unlikely that Midnight Rider or Pilster, whether they finish 7th, would be able to get themselves up into the top 3. There's probably faster drivers out there, but it's still that thing that you want to be there. You want to be in the fight, because we've seen throughout the season we can have crazy races where all sorts happen, and you can find yourself in that position where you go forward. So full credit to these two. They're really, really still pushing, knowing that that 7th place is so important if they want to go forward in this series.
Yeah, it really is so impressive. I mean, there are cases, of course, in Rallycross where, of course, you have heats and then you have finals, similar layout to what we have here in the karting series. I've watched the World Rallycross series where there have been people who've got into the final sort of starting in last position, but such have been the incidents that they've actually ended up sort of finishing in a podium position. People who you would never have imagined would have ever been able to get through to the final. People that, you know, were an underpowered car, something along the lines of that. Not something that happens here in the karting series. It's pure driver skill with sort of a regulated karting, regulations of karting, of course. So it's pure driver skill, of course, in this series. But nonetheless, it really does matter to be able to be in the fight. As the saying goes, you've got to be in it to win it. Still Nick Mikosi then who leads the way, the Australian, starting his final lap of racing here at Madrid. GTP Jammy has had a quiet race in 2nd, but nonetheless, he'll be very impressed and very pleased, I'm sure, to be able to get himself through automatically to the final.
Sorry to cut across you, Tom. Mistake there from TWR Dav off the final chicane. It's allowed Krelu to close in what was looking like a pretty big gap going on to the final lap, and has now taken 3rd place. But it's not over yet. We know TWR Dav 42 is such a fierce competitive... Oh no, he's in the wall! Oh no, I've completely commentator cursed him there by saying he's still going to have a chance of getting that 3rd place. He's not going to get that 3rd place now. He's dumped it in the wall on the right-hand side through the first corner, and now Krelu will breathe a sigh of relief, because it's pretty much certain now, hopefully, unless he makes a mistake on this last lap, that he will make this final.
Yeah, it'll be so impressive. What a result it will be from Krelu, of course, after his lap 1 went from 1st all the way down to last. After what we sort of thought was maybe a mechanical problem, maybe some damage after contact with the wall. We still didn't see what exactly happened, but to finish in 3rd position and guarantee yourself a place in the final is mighty impressive. Should say that Euclid 58 was in the pits, actually, so he will now finish in 8th place and will be out of the running here at Madrid. Meanwhile, Nick Mikosi then, the Australian, will come across the line to win Heat D here at the Circuit of Madrid. A great result there for the Australian. GTP Jammy will cross the line in 2nd place. Fantastic for the Finnish driver. The Scandinavian will cross the line, and indeed he does, to finish in the 2nd podium position. And Krelu then, the Frenchman who we all thought would maybe be out of it after his lap 1 dramas, will finish in 3rd position. That really does demonstrate exactly what can happen with a bit of luck and some supreme driving skill, Andrew.
That's why Krelu is rated as one of the top drivers in this series. We know how well he's done in the other classes. He won the championship last time out at the Red Bull Ring, and he's done absolutely fantastically there to pull his way back into the final. Gotta say though, Nick Mikosi, that'll do his confidence the world of good. It's been a really quality field that he's had to fight off here, and he did it with ease. So absolutely fantastic performance from the Australian. Good to see GTP Jammy, who we know has had the speed but hasn't always had the cleanest of races. That was a properly clean race. Very good to see him in 2nd place.
Yeah, just regarding Nick Mikosi, of course, it must have been such a confidence breaker to lose out on the championship by the smearish midget of points in the KZ class at the Red Bull Ring. So that, as you said, really will be quite a confidence booster for the Australian, and really demonstrating that he has got the pace behind the wheel of these karts. But Krelu, a champion's drive for a deserving champion, of course, in the KZ class. In the KF, he's proven to be very, very worthy of that title. That was stunning. So, Crawl 69, TWR Dav 42, Midnight Rider 32, Pilster 1 will have to take into the last qualifying session, the last slapdash last-minute qualifying session. They will, of course, battle out, and the top 3 will go through to the final. I'm afraid to say Euclid 58, his race is run, comes across the line, but will not progress any further in the action here at the GTPlanet karting series. But a cracking Heat D it was, of course. We'll find out who made themselves available, who progressed themselves through to the final of the GTPlanet KF karting series in just a few moments' time. That'll be coming along the way in just a couple. Stay with us. So from Heat D then to the last dash qualifying position. The top 3, of course, of this race, Andrew, will progress through to the final. And GTR Venturi, Pielster and Haas Gaming 96 will be in the prime position to do that, starting off the front row. So then we wait for the lights to come on. We've got 12 drivers taking to the field. And as soon as they lights go out, we will be underway. GTR Venturi on pole position, and it's lights out, and away we go. A good start then from the Spanish driver. Pielster 1 in second place. Haas Gaming 96 getting away very well. Side-by-side action further down between TWR Dav and Barrett 5, and Midnight Rider in 32, and T Kennedy 85 also exchanging positions there as well. So everyone getting away well, but of course it's the top 3 positions that matter in this race, Andrew. And with just under 10 minutes now remaining, heading in towards turn 1, everybody getting away cleanly, and some changes of position already.
Yep, good start. Everybody clear and off the grid. But at the moment, look at the Pielster 1. He's really asserted himself and up into 3rd position now. GTR Venturi, after that disappointment of being in a position where he was comfortably into the final the last time we saw him on track, he's taken a good lead off that front row. Haas Gaming as well, going to have to deal with the attentions of Pielster 1. Here's a good little battle in the midfield. At the moment it's counting for nothing. Oh, there's a bit of contact there between, and into the wall goes T Kennedy 85. He will be livid about that. I think it was contact with Yo 2099. There's another kart off there on the left hand side. I think it's Crawler 69. So a lot of guys giving it some very early on.
Oh, someone else off as well. Is that Makosi Academic? Oh, unbelievable. Makosi Academic, a favourite going into this race as well. Such was the pace he had. And now it's all gone to pot for the Australian. What a result. What drama. On the opening lap, of course.
That's absolutely unbelievable that you can probably count the bottom 4 already out of this one. There's no way, unless there's some real drama, that they're going to be able to pull back in the likes of GTR Venturi and Haas Gaming. Don't count out TWR Dav 42 as well. He's currently in 5th place, and Midnight Rider in 4th as well. We know that they're very quick on a good day. At the moment, though, it's GTR Venturi, Haas Gaming and Pielster 1 in the pound seats after lap 1.
Fantastic. Yo 2099 in the pit lane now as well. So his race looks to be run, I'm afraid to say. Still the battle for the final podium position going on between Pielster 1 and Midnight Rider 32. Heading through the left-hander they go now as well of turn 1.
So realistically, we're down to 6 now. But the thing is, this top 3, Tom, have really pulled away from Midnight Rider. Looking very, very strong at the moment.
Well, this is the thing, of course, and I mean, everyone's going to be battling that a little bit harder in these races in comparison to, say a final, where you know you've got a guaranteed opportunity of getting some points. These guys are fighting like it's the championship. We've got Midnight Rider going very wide there through the left-hander, and that's going to really sort of bring him almost into the clutches of TWR Dav 42. So, that could be a deciding factor. Just something simple as going wide through a corner can put you really out of contention with the rest of it. But GTR Venturi, the home boy, leading his home race. A great result there. The Portuguese, Haas Gaming 96 in 2nd, Pielster 1 in 3rd, Midnight Rider in 4th at the moment, who we're looking at, of course. TWR Dav in 5th, and Barrett 5 in 6th. So, of course, as you said, Andrew, it is pretty much a 6-way scrap for the top 3 positions in this race. But nonetheless, top 3 have kind of got their own little race going on almost, and that was TWR Dav getting very airborne out of the final chicane, clipping the curb way too much. My goodness, it would have been very tense in there, and that's going to put him right down out of contention, down into 7th place. So that is going to be a disappointment for the number 44, I believe it is, 344 of TWR Dav. So he is going to be out of contention for the podium by the looks of things there, Andrew. Disappointment.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's him gone, and we're probably down to 5 now. Although saying that, Makosi Academics closing on the back of Barrett 5. So it might even be down to 4 now. But I think what happened there for TWR, Dav, obviously pushing very hard to try and pull his way back towards that podium positions, just caught that curb and probably a bit of barrier as well, going through the second part of the chicane on the left-hand side of the car. And it just launched it, absolutely launched it into that opposite side of the track. And there's nothing, once you're in the air, that TWR Dav could have done at that point. Real shame for him. Hopefully he'll be back next time and have a better time.
Yeah, it really would be very, very nice to see. GTR Venturi still leading the way dominantly, it must be. So look at the gap he's got compared to Haas Gaming 96 in second. So GTR Venturi going around the left-hander. Haas Gaming 96 in second. Pilster 1 still comfortably in third. As you look at the gap he's got compared to fourth. So this top 3, I hesitate to say it because it could, of course, curse things somewhat. And as we know, commentators' curse is pretty influential in this commentary box. So Pilster 1 looks to be fairly comfortable for the position in the final. And of course, it really does matter where you... Because these guys, of course, the top 3 will go on towards the back of the grid, I believe, for the final. So that means, of course, they'll be not necessarily in the opportune place to challenge the front, but they'll, of course, be in with an opportunity nonetheless. Makosi Academic battling there with Barrett 5, I believe it is. It is indeed. Australian versus American, heading in towards turn 1 through the quick right-left.
Such a shame for Makosi Academic, because it looks like he's got quite a quick kart underneath him, but that mistake that he made on lap 1 has put him out of contention for that top 3. Yeah, very clean move there on Barrett 5.
Yeah, Barrett 5 now sort of interlocked in a bit of a race of his own, unfortunately. Still, I'm sure he'll be fairly pleased with the proceedings here at the Secretario de Madrid. In towards the left-hander he goes, and quite an aggressive style of driving, I must say. You can see how many saws and how much he saw at the wheel, how many turns he's taking. Doesn't look to be that comfortable with the setup of his car, and you can see that as well, getting very sideways, actually, does Barrett 5 going through the left-hander there. So still, GTR Venturi leading the way. Haas Gaming 96 in second. Not too far behind is Haas Gaming 96. So these guys battling essentially for the bottom 3 grid positions in the final. So that could be very important, actually, to be honest with you. So let's wait and see how things will go, because Haas Gaming 96, of course, it's got Pilster for company.
Midnight Rider getting a bit crossed up there, I noticed, Tom, out of the last chicane. Definitely pushing very hard at this point, and why not? It's no good finishing 4th and being careful. You may as well go absolutely all in, try and get that 3rd place. If you don't manage to do it, well, at least you've tried. Still 2 minutes 47 to go.
Try and try again is the mantra, of course. And GTR Venturi still very much out in front. Bit of a disappointment for Scales 22. We always thought it would be a bit of a tall order for the Briton to be able to launch a challenge in the final qualifying race, and such as it's turned out to be. Yo 2099, I thought he had a bit more pace behind him than that. He looked pretty promising in the heat that we saw him in, but nonetheless, sometimes it doesn't crumble your way, I'm afraid to say. TK to the 85, well, of course, going into the pit lane at the end of lap 1 really did put pay to his race, so he's just sort of driving around really for a bit of experience in these karts. And Midnight Rider 32 as well. I mean, he's got the pace behind the wheel of that car, but unfortunately has not got the opportunity to be able to use it. I mean, 2 minutes remaining. If something does happen, of course, then he'll be in the opportune position to be able to take advantage of it. But going through the right and then the left-hander they go now. Doesn't look to be that way. I mean, there's quite a fair amount of a gap compared to his fellow countryman of Pilster. Look how much harder he is pushing compared to Pilster through that hairpin, using all of the road, and probably some he shouldn't as well, because it gets very... you lose a lot of grip, actually, on that AstroTurf style material. This is a very difficult corner on the lap, as we've seen a lot of people become a victim of it. None less than TWR Dav, of course, earlier on in this race on about lap 2. But still Midnight Rider crossing the line, start lap 6, of course. Average of around about 7 laps of racing here, of the time session. Of course, the final is 15 minutes long in comparison to the races here, which have been 10 minutes long. So, extra long race, which should provide some entertainment, we are sure, of course, and lots of promising names taking to the field. One who's not going to be taken to the field is Mikosi Academic, of course. Very disappointing from him, actually. I really thought he might have the pace to be able to challenge it up with the front runners as TWR Dev goes a bit wide out of turn 1. But I really thought he might have the pace to challenge it up with the front runners, but unfortunately, Andrew, luck not falling his way.
Yeah, he'll come back stronger, though, for the future rounds of the series. He'll take on what he's learnt today, and it's just keeping that race tidiness, making sure you don't get involved in little scrapes in the early part of races. I know it from myself, because I'm always getting involved in little scrapes. It's getting that experience and knowing how to deal with the situations that mean you can use the pace that you've got for the bigger positions later on. And I do hope Mikosi Academic can learn from that, because he's definitely got the talent to challenge the guys up at the front.
Yeah, most certainly so. So coming around to start his final lap is GTR Venturi. Will he actually get another lap in after that? Maybe he will. So maybe we'll get 8 laps in of racing. I'll have to look. Wait for the ticker tape on the left-hand side of the screen to say this is the final. Yeah, there it is. So it is the final lap. So it will be 7 laps completed. Such has been the status quo. Haas Gaming 96 there in second. Quiet race for him. But nonetheless, the Portuguese driver, haven't really heard from him in the championship so far. But it's come onto the scene and burst into things really more than anything. So that's very impressive from Haas Gaming 96. Mikosi Academic now in the pit lane. So he would definitely not progress through to the top 3. Very tall order if it was going to happen on the final lap. Nonetheless, he would have needed a bit of a miracle, but it's gone from bad to worse for the Australian, I'm afraid to say. Haas Gaming 96 there we're looking at. Pielster won. The American, he'll progress through as well with a bit of luck. Credit also to the likes of Midnight Rider, of course, who put on a magnanimous performance. TWR Dav, of course, who had a bit of bad luck going through the final chicane and lost it, unfortunately. A bit of misjudgment from him. Barrett 5, who's had something of a quiet race, but not really had the pace to be able to utilise his good track position at some time. But it is Pielster 1 then, who comes into the final sector of the lap. My personal favourite, actually, going through this right-hander and then in towards that hairpin is stunning. Only second best, actually, to the right and left-handed chicane. Very difficult part of the lap. But GTR Venturi, Andrew, driven a stunning, stunning performance. Got not put a foot wrong all race.
And deserved as well. He should have been in the final by this stage already. He showed his pace in the heat, but had that bit of bad luck, that little mistake, which he's clearly learned from, because that's a fantastic win for
weaving across
GTR
the line.
Venturi.
Yeah, weaving across the line for GTR Venturi. He takes the victory. The homeboy wins his home race here at the Circuito de Madrid. That fantastic result there for the Spanish driver. Haas Gaming 96 comes across the line in second, and Pielster rounds out the podium. So the top 3, GTR Venturi, Haas Gaming 96, and Pielster 1 will progress through to the final. Another qualifying session, of course, will take place that we won't see, and then we'll have the final race, of course, coming up for you in just a few moments' time. Commiserations to Midnight Rider 32, TWR Dav 42, Barrett 5, Mikosi Academic, Crawl 69, Yo 2099, T Kennedy 85, and Skells 22, who will unfortunately not take to the final. And such is the frustration by the looks of things from Mikosi Academic, he crashes into the wall after the finish. So a disappointing race all round for those who didn't manage to progress through to the final, but provided us with some very good racing in the heats nonetheless. Just the final drivers crossing the line. Yo 2099 there, getting himself into 9th place. Making it through to this stage was very impressive from the American, someone who we haven't heard of before in the championship. T Kennedy 85, of course, we've seen a lot of him, but once again, luck not falling on his side. And of course, we've got the 15-minute race that will be underway in just a few moments' time. Crossing the line, just T Kennedy 85. No weaving from him, of course, but nonetheless, some great results. So, of course, the final will be along the way in just a few moments' time. Final crossing the line is Skells 22. So the Briton rounds out the proceedings here. The top 10 completed. Everybody across the line very nicely. But the day does belong to GTR Venturi for the final qualifying race. Once again, GTR Venturi, Haas Gaming 96 and Pielster 1 will progress through to the final. Everyone from 4th down to 10th, I'm afraid to say, will go no further for the action here at the GTPlanet Karting Series. So, of course, we'll have the final along the way with 12 action-packed drivers and 15 minutes of pure racing here at the Circuito de Madrid. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few moments' time for more action-packed racing. So 3 action-packed laps then translates into 4 action-packed races, translates into 11 runners taking to the field for the KF final. Andrew, we are in for a treat.
Absolutely brilliant field here. All the guys you'd expect have made their way through to this final. It's going to be close, it's going to be tight, there's going to be drama, there's going to be crashes along the way, no doubt. But it's going to be fantastically entertaining for us here in the commentary box and the viewers back home.
Nick Mikosi on pole position, lights out and away we go for the KF final here at the Circuit of Madrid. A great start then from everybody. Mr. Racing Line losing a position immediately, as well as Krelu. Meanwhile, Krelu actually going backwards off the side of the field. Nick Mikosi changing places with the GTR Venturi. So the Spanish driver who won the qualifying race qualified in 2nd position, and he's got himself up into the lead of the race, heading down towards turn 1 for the first time of 15 minutes racing. TWR Seb in 3rd, Zajak in 4th. Change of position further back as well. Who's that going off? Is that someone going off? Is that a bit of puff of a smoke? Because that was very, very deceiving. But it is GTR Venturi who leads from Nick Mikosi, who leads from TWR Seb, who leads from JJ, who leads from GTRP Famine. This is fantastic on the opening lap, Andrew.
It's unbelievable. I know we've not even had half a lap, but what a start from GTR Venturi. And given the context of what he's had to come through, look at this. This is almost 5 wide going down the straight here. But
into the chicane, surely there's going to be contact, surely someone's going to go off. That's all going to end in tears, is it not? Nick Mikosi and TWR Seb exchanging positions briefly. Meanwhile, Pilster and Haas Gaming also exchanging positions as well. Look at this, fantastic, what a smorgasbord of cars. All drivers, of course, to pretty much the same ability. And we've got 15 minutes of this. We've got to calm down just a moment because we're going to hand it up with no breath left. By the end of the race, who's that trying around the outside? It's Zajak versus TWR Seb for the podium position. In towards the final corner they go. Trying around the outside.
These are some of the best drivers that you'll find on Gran Turismo 6, and they are giving us an absolute treat. We're not even at the end of lap 1 yet, and I'm already losing my breath, but GTR Venturi is out ahead.
Oh, into the barrier for TWR Seb out of the final corner. That was very, very heavy contact he had there with the Armco, and that sent him down from 4th to 6th position. Still further down the order.
Haas Gaming's fallen down to 11th place as well. I think he was involved in some kind of incident in the chicane. I think I saw Pielster 1 as well, getting squeezed into the wall. So, as we thought would happen, a really hectic first lap. Here's GTP Famine currently in 5th position, trying to chase down Mr. Racing Line and JJack33. Not for the first time we've said that this season.
Still the battle going onwards between Nick Mikosi and JJack. So, the 2 white carts. Both, of course, similar colour schemes, but completely different drivers and completely different driving styles nonetheless. So Zajak looking to threaten the Australian in towards the right-left chicane. They go. No way through there for the Frenchman. Has to buy this time very nicely. But Nick Mikosi going a bit wide out of there. Takes a nice line, though. But still, Zajak actually does get a better exit out of there. But I don't think he was able to take advantage of it quite then. But further down, as you mentioned there, Andrew, of course, we've got Famine, we've got Jammy, and I think we've got Mr. Racing Line all battling for 4th place.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. I'm just amazed at how competently and how confidently GTR Venturi has driven this first 2 laps. He's driven clear. He's driven clear of one of the best fields that we've had in any class in the karting series this season. And he's absolutely showing them how it's all done. I mean, yes, it's only lap 2. Yes, we've got 11 minutes and 47 seconds to go. But what a first 2 laps from the hometown driver.
Simply stunning. There is no other way to describe it. GTR Famine. Oh, contact there between TWR Seb and GTP Famine. Oh, absolutely unsightly. That was so disappointing. TWR Seb went into the barrier, and I think GTP Famine had nowhere to go, I'm afraid to say. And I think it was a similar sort of thing to what we saw TWR Dav do in the last race. Haas Gaming into the pits now as well. So the Portuguese driver into the box. Nick Mikosi down to 3rd. Zajak gets ahead. So Frenchman overtakes Australian.
I think Pielster 1 was involved in that accident as well. I saw a car as TWR Seb was in the middle of the track. Another car hit him, and I've seen Pielster 1 fall down through the field and was looking a bit slow on the pit straight, so a real shame for him. Meanwhile, here's Nick Mikosi in 3rd.
I've got to say, actually, we've got 5 different nationalities in the top 5 positions. If you ever wanted confirmation that GTPlanet is an international platform, this is confirmation at its finest. We've got Spanish, we've got French, we've got Australian, we've got Danish rather, I should say, and we've got Finnish as well. So we've got a lot of different nationalities in the GTPlanet karting series, and really demonstrating that they all know how to drive a racing kart very, very well indeed. Nick Mikosi still trying to chase down Jacek, the 2 white karts. Not too far behind each other on circuit at the moment, but still, as you mentioned, GTR Venturi has come into this race there, Andrew, and pretty much dominated things. He's romped away at the front of the field.
And I think now he's just taking the pressure off himself. He's bridging that gap. He's not having to push too hard. Although I'm saying that, Jack's going to go around the outside. We've done it again, Tom. We've commentator cursed GTR Venturi, just as we did earlier. It must have been something in the chicane where he's got things a little bit wrong, and all of a sudden the leader's gone. Jack 33 is now in the lead, and we know how hard it is to get him out of a position like that. He's now got Nick Mikosi all up behind him, and well, at least if he could get a podium, that would still be an absolutely unbelievable result considering the day he's had. Here goes Nick Mikosi. There's an incident involving 157 and 228. 157 being Famine and Seb.
So TDO Seb in the pit lane. Nick Mikosi still trying to get ahead of GTR Venturi, who does now. Great bit of overtaking there. I think GTR Venturi went a little bit wide through the left-hander. A very tricky left-hander, I must say. And Nick Mikosi was able to take advantage, and Nick Mikosi now straight on the attack against Jacek. Heading in towards the final sector they go. Still
not over for Venturi.
Still 8 minutes remaining, of course, for this race, so anything could happen in that time. Keep your eyes peeled. Keep your sets tuned. Don't change anything, because all very wide there from Jacek. That's going to let Mikosi up the inside. Out of the hairpin they go, and Nick Mikosi, then the Australian, takes the lead side by side between the 2 white karts, almost heading in towards the final chicane. But it is Nick Mikosi then who leads on lap 4, ahead of Jacek, ahead of GTR Venturi. What an overtake, what a change of positions.
And really, really still close between the 2 guys in those white-coloured karts. Venturi, as I say, not out of this because we've seen it before. So much happened. It's still so much more time to go, and Nick Mikosi and Jacek, you never know, they could take each other out, and Venturi will be back into the lead. Mr. Racing Line not on the back bumper of Venturi yet, so he's got that bit of a cushion to hold on to the podium place. GTP Famine is into the pits. Not quite sure what that's about. Damage, I believe, being told from the pits, damage on GTP Famine's kart, and that's the end of his day.
Meanwhile, side-by-side action between the 2 leaders at the moment. Jacek versus Nick Mikosi. Jacek now into the lead once again. Frenchman gets ahead of Australian. Bit of contact almost there. Going in towards there. Look at that. What an overtake from Nick Mikosi. That was stunning. Oh, what an opportunist move from the Australian in towards the right-hander. I can't believe he got through there. There was no room for a kart to get through, and somehow Nick Mikosi managed it with the slightest of touches.
That was improvisation at its best. I've never seen an overtaking manoeuvre like that, especially round this circuit. Absolutely unbelievable from Nick Mikosi, and if he goes on to win this race, that move is deserved of a win enough for me. Here's another great little battle. It's Chris W265 and Krelu. Unfortunately, we cut away from it. We're back on board with Jacek. Look at Venturi. Venturi now closing back in on Jacek 33. He's not done yet. He wants that 2nd place back. He's not satisfied with 3rd place. Oh, he's had a little bit of a touch with the wall coming out of the chicane there as we cut back to Krelu and Chris W265, which I think is the closest battle at the moment out on track. This is for 6th place.
Around the final corner they go. Krelu then. The Frenchman, of course, who had such promise. He's the reigning KZ class champion. Sitting in 7th place. Oh, someone a bit wide there through turn 1. I think that might have been Pilster in the background. Just overshot his marks a bit. Kept it on the island nonetheless, but went a bit deep through there. But yeah, Krelu up into 6th now as well. Ahead of Chris W265. Now Nick Mikosi down to 4th place. So what's happened there? What on earth has happened to Nick Mikosi? Something's gone wrong for the Australian. Must have had some kind of incident there, Andrew. I can't imagine what happened. Maybe he spun or something. Maybe clipped the curbs. It's so easy to do so, as we've seen.
Once again, though, we said it earlier, Venturi not out of the chances of having this race win. We've seen one of those white karts make a mistake, so that's put him up to second, and now he's right back in this battle and being able to take the race win. One small matter, though, Mr. J-Jack ahead of him. We know how quick this Frenchman is. We know how many races he's been involved with and how many races he's won. Here's GTP Jammy and Mr. Racing Line, a bit of a Scandinavian battle here between the Finn and the Dane.
Tell you what, it's going to get confusing between these two karts because the two leaders are racing in white and blue karts, and the two people battling for third position are in white and blue karts. So let's hope we can keep it all together.
GTP Jammy takes third place then. He takes it away from Mr. Racing Line, but there's still 5 minutes to go in this one. Here's Krelu.
In towards, oh, chops his nose off as Chris W265. Into the pits goes Nick McCosey now, so some damage on the Australian's kart. That's put him out of the running. If he finishes the race, of course, he'll still get some good points on the board. So every point counts, of course. Krelu versus Chris W265. Heading in towards turn 1 they go. Over the brow of the hill, side-by-side racing between the orange and the blue karts. Heading in towards turn 1. Krelu's up the inside of Chris W265. Can he get the move done? Can he get it stopped in time? No way through there for him at the moment by the looks of things. We'll keep an eye on how that progresses onwards. Meanwhile, still going on for the final podium place between Mr. Racing Line and GTP Jammy side-by-side through the right-hander kink. Heading down now in towards the left-hander. Through the chicane they'll go in just a couple of seconds. Still, GTP Jammy has to settle second best against against Mr. Racing Line at the moment. So, still all to play for as we come in towards the closing stages of this race.
Great battle here, 2 very evenly matched karts. In fact, here's another 2 very evenly matched karts. Neither driver having much of an advantage on a particular circuit, as we sometimes see in the karting series. Krelu now up to 5th place. Here we go back to the battle for 3rd place. Mr. Racing Line looking for an opportunity to overtake GTP Jammy once more.
So Jammy did indeed get ahead of Mr. Racing Line. That's a great bit of overtaking there from the Finnish driver. But Mr. Racing Line, we know he's not a quitter. He'll fight until the last corner of the last lap if that's what he has to do. And he's proven to be very, very impressive behind the wheel of these KF class karts. And start another lap 7, of course, of the racing. So this will be the longest race we have, of course, at the circuit of Madrid.
Ooh. I was just making an involuntary noise at Krelu smashing the curb and getting a little bit airborne. And he's lost the position to Chris W265. And once again, not the first driver we've seen hit that curb.
Blimey, sorry to get a bit excited there. GTP Jammy had a bit of a slide. I thought he was going to send straight into the barrier. That allows Mr. Racing Line out of turn 1 to take advantage of that mistake and get himself up into 3rd position. So that really could be important for this podium. But will it be? Heading in towards the right and the left-hander chicane once again. Is there going to be a bit of contact? Are they all going to keep it on the same island? Through they go now. Still keeps it ahead, does Mr. Racing Line of GTP Jammy for the time being. Very, very on the back bumper, though. Look at this, Andrew. This is fantastic. Up the inside, baby. In towards the left-hander. Around the outside. No way through there. Up the inside into the right-hander. Great bit of overtaking there from Jammy. We clips the barrier, though. Oh, no. Contact there. Keeps it on the right way, though. And that means GTR Venturi, what's happened there? He's travelling very slowly. Unbelievable. Are they all going to get it through? Yes, they are. My goodness. So GTR Venturi has had some kind of an incident in the last stages of this race. Coming into the final 2 minutes, Andrew, we thought they may be on chance for a podium. But no, it's not going to be for GTR Venturi at the moment.
We've already seen J-Jack throw 1 race win away today in the heats. You never know, this could still be for the race win between Mr. Racing Line and GTP Jammy. Both of them getting very, very close to that wall on the right-hand side. Feel so sorry for Venturi. It's the same thing that happened in his first heat. He was looking comfortable and then somehow he's lost control of the kart with not very long to go. Saying that, he's not out of it. Look at him. He's right up behind Mr. Racing Line and GTP Jammy. It's now a 3-way scrap for 2nd place here in the final at Madrid.
Wide for Mr. Racing Line. Goes a bit wide out of turn 1, and that allows GTR Venturi to get himself up into 3rd place. So GTP Jammy into 2nd. GTR Venturi now into 3rd. Meanwhile, J-Jack 33 is comfortably out in front by several seconds. He's coming in towards the final sector of the lap. The guys in 2nd and 3rd place are just coming in towards the right-left chicane after the back straight.
Very, very good performance here from J-Jack. Hopefully, I say hopefully because given everything that's happened today, I'm not sure of anything right now. Hopefully, he's learnt the lesson from the heat earlier and he's taking things quite calm now, taking it easy, not taking any risks because he's got enough of a gap. And to be honest, these three are really scrapping and going to be holding each other up as GTR Venturi has a little clip with the wall yet again, loses a few kart lengths to, in fact, more than a few kart lengths. GTP Jammy now has clear air between himself and Venturi and Mr. Racing Line in third and fourth.
GTP Famine and Krelu swap positions, so the Frenchman, who had such promise going into this race, now down with his fellow countryman in the last couple of positions. So 10 seconds remaining on the timing screens. I think we'll just about get one more lap, and indeed we will. So we'll cross the 10 lap mark as they cross the line. So still going on for the podium between Jammy and Venturi. Mr. Racing Line now sadly looks to be, I wouldn't say he's out of it actually, he's not too far behind Venturi at the moment, Andrew. So anything to play for here coming on to the final lap.
And I wouldn't put it past Mr. Racing Line to have some kind of deep on the brakes last gas move. Is that Venturi running a little bit wide though, and through the second part of the corner? No, he's been able to hold on to the position, but look at this, Mr. Racing Line right in the slipstream now of GTR Venturi. Can GTR Venturi, who's come through incidents in the heat, he came through the last gasp qualifying and he won that qualifying heat. Can he hold on for this podium? But look at Mr. Racing Line, he's all over the back of the Spanish driver. Great defensive work there from GTR Venturi. Holds onto the position for now. Half a lap to go. Can he do this? Can he hold on to third position and take a well-deserved podium?
Moving every which way he can is Mr. Racing Line through the right-hander. The next right-hander comes up in just a couple of seconds' time. There they go, through it now. He's got a couple more opportunities, has Mr. Racing Line. I think into the final chicane would be a very good opportunist move. But meanwhile, everything has come down to this, and what a great result it is for the Frenchman. J-Jack comes out of the final corner. The Frenchman will come across the line to win the KF class here at Madrid. What a result for him. A great result for the Frenchman. Fantastic, brilliant, absolutely dominant from lights to flag. There was no one else quicker. GTR Jammy crosses the line backwards to finish in second place. A great result there for the Finnish driver, and GTR Venturi does hold on to get the podium just ahead of Mr. Racing Line, just a couple of tenths behind. That was an action-packed race if ever we've commentated on one together, Andrew.
Wow, what an absolutely brilliant finale here. Oh, it's Chris W265 whose race isn't over. He's crashed in the last chicane. Can he hold on for fifth position? No, Pilster's going to nick it off the last corner. He's going to take fifth place, take those extra points. No idea what happened. Well, I've got some idea what happened to Chris W265. He's another victim of that last chicane, and it's lost him a position right at the end there. Nick McCosey comes across the line in 7th place. Some good points for him today. Haas Gaming 96, another one of the drivers who came through the last gasp qualifying. He'll take 8th. What drama then, even on the last lap there for Chris W265. But a brilliant race. Absolutely fantastic. One of the best finals that we've had all year. Very, very different final as well. As we said earlier, this has been the first street circuit that we've visited this season. GTP Famine comes across the line in 9th. Here's Krelu, who will be disappointed. He'll have expected more here today. Will take 10th place.
Still another bad result for the Frenchman, of course. He's got that KZ title in his pocket. It was always going to be a tall order to be able to compete in the KF class as well. So Krelu, nonetheless, not easy to get to grips with these karts. Of course, completely different to what he's driven so far in the GTP karting series, but will cross the line in 10th place. And then just TWR Seb, who I think is actually a lap down on proceedings, will come across the line in 11th place and plumb last, I'm afraid to say. But there we are. We had a Frenchman dominating proceedings, Andrew. What a race we had. J-Jack led from lights to flag. There was nobody else who could even come close to touching him.
Best man out on the streets of Madrid today. Had the speed, had the consistency. Yes, he had that little mistake in the heat, but in the end it didn't matter. He got into the final, got into the lead, kept things calm. Others fell off around him, and he's a deserved winner here today at the GTPlanet karting series.
And of course, one of GTR Venturi, he looked to be so on course for even potentially the win at one point in this race as well. Even looked to be on course for a nice little podium, and it all sort of went sour for him. Had a bit of a spin, but kept his head cool, kept calm, and kept collected, and kept things facing the right way after that little incident, and managed to bag a podium as well in what we've only seen of him. A very limited time we've seen him in the karting series, but nonetheless, that was superb. What a great way, what an induction to the championship.
It's just a great example of you've got to keep going. You can't ever give up, even if you've been taking several hits, as Venturi has today. He could have won in the heat. He could have had second. He slipped out of that top three, had to come through the qualifying last gasp, got through, and then brilliantly got himself into the lead early on. And then, yes, he'll be disappointed because he was in the lead. But if you offered him a podium in the final at the start of that qualifying race, I think pretty much everyone in that situation would have taken that result. So big credit to him. He'll come back stronger, and if he can wheedle out those little mistakes, he'll be a real contender for the latter part of the season.
Fantastic. And of course, from Madrid, we come back to the United Kingdom for Silverstone, round 6 of the GTPlanet karting series. We will head there, of course, for more action-packed racing in the KF class. Hope you can join us then. My thanks to AJ, of course, for organising this event, of course, at Madrid, of course, organising the series as well. But as I say, we head over to Silverstone for the next round. We look forward to your company there. Thanks so much for joining us. From Andrew Mather and from myself, Tom Brooks, it's goodbye for now, and we will see you for round 6 at Silverstone in a few weeks' time.